Alright guys, so we're going to talk about fleshing knives today. And basically we're going to cover two different things. We're going to cover steel quality and the styles of commercially available fleshing knives. You see I've got 5 knives here in front of me. Of course there are many manufacturers of knives. These are just the few that I've collected over the years. But I really want to concentrate on the styles, the difference in the styles, and then subsequently the steel available in the knives. Now, over the years, if you guys follow my channel, you know that I'm big on the fur handling, the put up, doing everything right. And with that, with the put up, it's very important to have a proper fleshing system. A system, being your beam and your knife. If you don't have a beam that fits your knife, then you're not really going anywhere. So, kind of an offside to what I do with the fur handling, I've also decided that over the years, I wanted to become proficient with all the styles available of the fleshing knives. And subsequently, I've collected these knives over the years. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the styles for the most part. If you see a knife like this per se in a catalog, you see a picture of it. That's all you see, a picture. You don't get to really see the size, the in-depth detail, of the knife. It's hard to see what you get just from a picture. So this video hopefully will help the people looking for a new knife or their first knife, or kind of get a better idea of what they're purchasing. I will say, if you're getting into the fur handling, buy the best knife that you can afford. In my experience, it's one of them deals, you get what you pay for kind of thing. So anyway, we're just going to go through here. We're going to start this in. We're going to move forward. I'm going to talk to you about basically the 4 different styles of the commercially available fleshing knives. First off we've got our kind of our entry level, your $15 to $20 cheap knives. It's got the same style as some of these, but I feel it needs its own category just because of the way it's made. You've got, your wide and your narrow and your medium versions of these knives. Next, we're going to talk about the big wide knife you see here. The next one is going to be, this is a MB cutting edge. It's kind of its own style, but we're going to talk about this knife. And then you've got these two here, and these are more of your skinny knives. So we'll start off with here. We're going to talk about this knife. This is a your entry level, run-of-the-mill $15, $20 knife. Nothing wrong with these knives. There's lots and lots of fur put up every year with these knives. They're a mild steel, which means it's a very soft steel. Doesn't hold an edge very good, but they're cheap. These knives do not come with a shaving side. The shaving side being the side that you would do the back of the neck or shave a beaver with. On this knife, these are all my personal knives. I have actually ground a shaving side into the front edge of this knife. It works fairly well. Not as good as these more quality knives, but it still works. Good all-around knife. Like I said, they come in this skinny version, kind of a medium, 1.5 inch width blade, and then like a 3-inch blade. So you got some variations there. Okay, next knife here we're going to talk about is the wide knife. This particular knife here, this is a custom-made Lee Steinmeyer knife. It's a beautiful knife, good material, good stainless steel blade. It's a big, heavy, beefy knife. If you're doing a lot of big critters, otter, beaver, deer skins, buffalo, where you use the weight of the knife to help you push, this is a very good knife. Other makers of these are your Green English or Sheffields. It's a big knife. Now this knife here, it came with a sharp side on both sides. I dulled the pushing edge to my specs, if you will. A blunt edge is that, but there's a little bit of variation in that blunt edge, how sharp you actually want your blunt edge. So it's easier to dull a knife than it is to sharpen one. So you get it sharp and then you dull it. The way this knife works is your shaving edge is right here. You work it like this, and then in order to push, you actually have to flip the knife over and push. Where with a narrow knife, you're shaving like this, and then to get to your pushing edge, you simply just flip the knife this way. Very good knives. I will say these knives work a lot better on a more of a horizontal beam presentation. If you've seen the beam that I use, it's a lot steeper of an angle, more of a vertical angle. Because of the angle of these knives, you can see it has a bend in it. It's a lot more difficult to get the angle right whenever you're right over top the knife, as opposed to if you're out here with a horizontal presentation. Nonetheless, very good knife. Like I said, you can use the weight of your knife to your ability to aid you. Very good knife. The next knife we have here, this is an MB cutting edge knife. It's a high carbon steel blade, Austrian made blade. It's manufactured by Minnesota Trapline Products. It's kind of its own style. You can see the style of it's very different from the rest of these knives. The handles are more of a straight setup as opposed to following the natural curvature of the knife. They say that's for fatigue issues. The blade itself is a very wide blade. Very long blade, you know, as compared to, you know, this knife here. You know, you got another 6 inches of blade. This knife comes to you sharp all the way across. The idea being that you can either leave the knife sharp and then use like a lesser quality knife for your pushing, or you can do what I've done to this knife. What I've done is I've went from right here over, I've left that sharp, very sharp, and then from right here over, I dulled that knife. And there's no flipping of this knife. You know, so you're going at it, say you're going at a coon, and you get to the back of the neck on a coon, you have your shaving side. Because the knife is so long, you can work at your shaving knife, and you get down, say done with the back of the neck, then you just simply move the knife over and you go to pushing with your dull side. A very good knife. There's a little bit of a learning curve to this knife, but once you figure out that learning curve, it is a very, very efficient knife. You can go with some speed with this knife. Very, very good knife. Just another different style. Okay, and our fourth style we're going to look at is what these two knives are here. Your skinny knives. This knife here, this is probably the most recognizable knife to the fur handling community. This is a Necker 600 knife. It's pretty much the knife that all skinny knives are designed off of. You've got a cutting edge right here, a sharp side, and then you flip the knife over and you've got your pushing side. Good knife, stainless steel, holds an edge fairly well. You've got big handles on it, you know, keep your hands from running down. You've got a pretty steep curve to it. You know, you need to get a beam to fit that knife to become efficient with your pushing. Very good knife. I've fleshed thousands and thousands of coons with this knife. It is a good knife. It's got a very, very a little short learning curve to it. That's the skinny knife style. Like I said, guys, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can with these knives because I'm not pushing for one particular brand. I just kind of wanted to get a video out there that talks about the different styles and variations. We're going to move on to this knife. This is another version of the skinny knife. Many manufacturers of the skinny knives. You know, there's lots of them. These are just the manufacturers that I happen to own. This is a Post knife. The brand is Post. Very, very high quality steel in this knife. This knife is very hard stainless steel. It's got a Rockwell hardness of 58, which means it's super, super hard. This knife comes to you razor sharp. I mean razor sharp. It's a little bit smaller than the Necker, as you can see. It's got not quite as much of a curve. The pushing edge is a little bit sharper than the Necker. You know, it doesn't take as much work to get the fat started. Wood handles, just a very, very high quality knife, a good knife. Like I said, this is basically the the outline of all the styles of commercially available fleshing knives. There's some homemade versions out there, you know, that are a little bit different. But all in all, this is pretty much the mass production styles. I get a lot of questions on fleshing knives. What do I prefer in a fleshing knife? Well, I've got a lot of them, and I can use them all very proficiently. My answer to the question for people who always ask, what is my favorite fleshing knife? My answer always is the one that you feel most comfortable with. That being said, you know, you can pick up a $200 fleshing knife if you can find one, and you might not be able to use it, you know, as well as you can this little knife. It's all what you get comfortable with. That being said, the steel in a knife is very important to me. You know, the fact, I mean, a knife will dull, even though you're just pushing fat with it, you know, or shaving, you know, a hide. They will dull. And so steel is very important also. I'm not going to get out of this video, I know, without saying what my preferred knife is. And like I said, I've put up lots and lots of fur with these knives. But hands down, my favorite, most preferred knife of these, anyway, is this post knife. It's a joy to work with. Like I said, I prefer a super sharp cutting edge. This knife gives me the ability to have that. It's got just a little bit of flex to it, a little bit more than the Necker. Not a big deal when you're really pushing, because you're not really pushing crossway, you're pushing more of a down. Just a good, comfortable knife to use, and you can get a lot done with it. So anyway, guys, I hope that clears a few things up. Like I said, primarily for people in the market for knives. I just kind of wanted to go through the variations and different styles of the fleshing knives. I hope this video cleared a lot of things up for some people. You know, like I said, it's hard to know what to get from a picture. And by all means, if I know I didn't go into depth on each particular knife, if there is a lot of interest in that, feel free to comment. If I get a lot of interest in one particular knife, then by all means I will do another video on just a review of that knife. But this is more of just kind of an overview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time.